Welcome to another edition of Jazz Smack post game and the preseason opener. So the Jazz open their preseason tonight in Houston, and for all intents and purposes, it went really well because Taylor looks great. Let's talk about it.
Jazz Smack, NBA and Utah Jazz basketball.
So I felt the most encouraging thing for tonight was the fact that Taylor Hendricks actually looks really comfortable. I mean, there were no signs that he was ever seriously injured. He looked like he was actually more comfortable now than at any point in his Utah Jazz playing career prior to this point. And so that was totally and completely 100%, I think, the highlight of tonight, regardless of how well Ace Bailey played and shot the ball and everything. I just think that the sole fact that Taylor Hendricks looks like he is ready to play basketball and ready to be a major contributor, and it's not going to take him a season to feel comfortable once again and not have the injury always on the back of his mind. I think that was 100% the best thing that happened, that could have ever happened with this game tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it was both on the offensive, defensive end. I mean, he played aggressively on the defensive end, tried to block shots, went in for rebounds, got knocked down a few times. In the offensive end, he pulled up confidently for three-point shots, knocked some of them down, missed some of them, but also drove to the hoop a few times. So I was thoroughly impressed with him. Like, you can't translate one game into how he's going to shoot the whole year, right? We don't know if he's going to shoot that well from three, but his confidence looked fantastic. And let's face it, even before this game, we saw what he looked like. He's huge. I mean, this guy is he is a monster. He's like 6'9", but he is ripped too. So, I mean, we have something that's really exciting. There was a lot of really exciting things about this game tonight.
Yeah, and I think my favorite play of Taylor's on offense was actually when he was on the left wing, and he kind of got past his guy and he went in for that short little runner. He kind of short-armed it, which, I mean, doesn't thrill me, but he was on the move at a pretty good pace going towards the basket, and he made that shot, and that's a really difficult shot. So, I mean, I know that he can make the spot-up threes. He made those spot-up threes in college at 40%. I know that he's capable of doing that. He's been working really hard, continued to work hard on that three-point shooting, but seeing him make that little runner, especially from the side, which is even a more difficult shot without having, bounce it off the front of the rim and have the backboard as a backup. I mean, that's a really difficult shot. He made it actually look fairly easy. So absolutely thrilled with the way Taylor played this game tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting too, is that there was guys that showed some nerves tonight, and we'll go into that like we all would, but Taylor didn't. I mean, that's the amazing thing, is after that terrible injury last year, and really being a second-year player now, because he was out all last year, he did not show any of that. He showed confidence, like going up, like continuously, like anything he did, and he was like guarding Durant, and no one wants to guard Durant, right? And very impressive. So I couldn't say more about how he looked. And I was listening to another commentator where he said, look, the guy that needs to like pop this year for the Jazz to be good, to not lose a season, is Ace Bailey. And we're all excited about Ace Bailey, and we'll get to him. But the reality is anybody can pop. It doesn't matter where you're picked in the draft, right? Really, what we're looking for is 2 to 3 of our players to really stand out and make big leaps. And and hopefully this is a sign for Taylor that he's going to do so.
Yeah, we got to have 1 or 2 of these guys that we already drafted prior to drafting Ace. We got to have a couple of those guys at least stick. Now, obviously, Kyle Filipowski is in that too, and Kyle looks good. And Walker, even though we didn't draft him, I mean, he's kind of along the same timeline. And I know that the contract situation with him hasn't been worked out, but he's in line, obviously, to be a significant contributor on a really good team. So So Taylor is the other guy, though. He was always like the most sought after of the guys that we've actually drafted. And, right now it looks really good. I was really skeptical when that injury took place. I go, I don't know. I mean, his career could be done, but remarkably, he looks better than he ever has, which just is really great to see. So, so anyway, in terms of what we expect, in this game aside, obviously the Jazz are going to be throwing all these different lineups out in the preseason and all of that, and we're going to see many different lineups. We're going to see multiple different starters. Obviously, Walker and Lowry weren't there tonight, as well as Isaiah. So who knows what the starting lineup is going to be throughout the preseason and through the first part of the season. I mean, I'm actually not surprised that Lowry is not playing, and I don't expect him to play major minutes in the preseason because he had huge minutes with the Finnish national team. So I think Lowry's going to sit most of it. I think he's going to play very little. But obviously, there's a whole bunch of other guys that need time, and I think that he's sitting people purposely so that guys aren't just playing like 7 or 8 minutes a game, and so that when they do play, they can actually play extended minutes. So I think this next game, we'll see some of the guys who played tonight sit, and then some of these other guys play. At least that's my theory about what Hardy is actually doing with the rotations here in the preseason, at least.
Yeah, we'll see. I always question whether Hardy actually has a real plan, as you know. So there was one guy who I was not pleased by his minutes tonight, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because I bet you're going to come to the same player. But let's talk about the rest of the players.
All right. Well, what do you expect in terms of roster and player development for this year? I think this year the Jazz aren't trying to win a title this year, obviously. So the emphasis for this season has to be on roster development and player development. And that roster development meaning there needs to be evaluation with the younger guys. Like those guys that are coming up on extensions. I mean, Walker Kessler is a restricted free agent at the end of this season. They didn't come to terms with him as of yet. I think they have until October 20th or something like that, something like that to come to an agreement with him, I believe. But all those other guys, those guys that have been drafted over the previous couple of years, not including Ace, the Jazz need to not only further development, but they need to evaluate which guys they want to have in terms of development for a longer period of time, because the Jazz just can't keep everyone. At some point, you have to start making decisions on players and saying, okay, we don't feel that this guy is the right fit for this team moving forward. And then maybe you either trade him, or in some cases, you're going to just have to cut guys loose because they don't have trade value. So that is this season. The Jazz are not looking to make a big run in the playoffs. That's not in the cards. They're still really young. They have to develop. They're trying to win games now, at least, which makes it much more interesting from a fan perspective, but still, this season is about player development and then evaluating the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you and I both felt like the last 2 years, they wasted a lot of time by playing veterans, not trading them away, not developing the young players as much as they could have. And they clearly have changed that this year. I think that's a mandate. We need to figure that out. And I think even if you're going to decide a player is not right for the team going forward, that's fine. But if you play them enough that somebody else wants them, they have some trade value, right? I mean, they have something that you can get back, a second-round pick or something. And so that's really going to be the goal. I agree with you. We're going to trade some of our guys away. We're going to cut some of our guys. This is not going to be our team. But what we're really trying to get is 2 to 3 guys that are going to be there for the long term. that can be part of the team. The stars, who knows, right? But somebody that can be part of the team. But hopefully the other ones we figure out that they're not going to become good players somewhere else if we decide to move off of them. But hopefully we can get some value for those guys. And so to me, in all these games, one of the things I want to look for is, are you doing that? Like, are you doing that, or are you playing the veterans excessively? And, and that's, I guess I have a little bit of an issue tonight, is that I felt like some of the veterans were played more than I would have preferred they'd be played.
Yeah, well, particularly Shvi and Nurkic. I mean, those two guys played a ton of minutes, and I can understand from a certain aspect of playing Nurkic a bit more because Walker was sitting and also Lowry was sitting. So two of your big guys are sitting. You have Mo Bamba's over there on the bench, who's seemingly in street clothes, but he got a DNP. But Svi, on the other hand, Svi played really poorly tonight too. I mean, he really struggled, and he committed a bunch of turnovers, 4 turnovers. He didn't play well, and again, he played twice as many minutes as Cody Williams. So again, this is the preseason. I would prefer that Cody Williams get 25 minutes and Svi get 13 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever. That would be a much better situation, in my opinion, especially when Svi played really poorly. But, it seems like, this is the 4th year of this. So we're heading into the 4th year of this, and I don't anticipate anything changing with the Jazz franchise at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Cody's the guy I was talking with. I'm sure you talked. And yeah, there was an empty box score with him: 0 rebounds, 0 steals, 0 blocks. So it's back to like the non-aggressive Cody, and I think we're going to have that sporadically. We showed some, and that even happened in the summer, right? I mean, there was some like first halves he played that were just very poor, and then he came aggressive in the second half. So I think we're going to still have that, but still, he's a guy that we want to see what we have if we can, because he's got the height, he's got the length, he's got the reach. Let's see if we can develop him. But the guy that was really honestly bothered me, that I wanted to go in the starting lineup, is Bryce, because I've seen like great growth in Bryce. Yeah, defensively he still needs to do better, but I see like this growth. He is an unreal shooter. I mean, just an unreal shooter. And Shvi doesn't play defense either. So, like, to me, I'd rather Bryce get those minutes in the starting lineup because I want to see what I have. And honestly, if we can develop him into a great shooter that other teams want, even if you decide he's not there for the long term, at least, he has more value, right? So I would have liked to see Bryce get more than he did and be in the starting lineup rather than Svi.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, Bryce played a decent amount of minutes tonight, but still, I mean, if you want to give Bryce even more minutes since Svi get less minutes, that'd be fine with me too. But I mean, Bryce and Cody are both two of those guys that need to develop, and I still think that Cody, from the defensive standpoint, he's one of the guys that I look forward to seeing improve. And look at the Jazz tonight. I mean, yes, it's a preseason game. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but Houston scored 140 points. That's the most that any team has scored so far in the preseason, 140. No other team has hit 140 yet. And so the Jazz let up 140. None of those foreign teams that have played NBA teams let an NBA team score 140 points. So we're kind of right back to a lot of the guys are going through the motions. Nurkic played really poorly on defense, and a whole bunch of the other guys did as well. I mean, it's non-aggressive, it's non-physical, it's just blah, and that's a problem. And so, this is where both Ainges need to evaluate Hardy this year. So he has the free rein to do what he needs to do this year. It's up to him. So this is another part of the evaluation. So if we get another 4th year of really poor defense, then the Ainges and Ryan Smith need to make a decision on that and say, okay, this is enough. After 4 years, something needs to change because obviously this is really poor. Now, it's only one preseason game, and you can't tell a lot from one preseason game, but it's still, it's the same thing we've seen over the previous 3 seasons. That's my complaint.
Yeah, it's interesting that you and I have exactly the same reaction to it, even to the point of you can't overreact to one game because you see commentators doing that all the time. Yeah, I mean, you see good old David Locke like making a judgment on a person after one game, like okay, they either suck or they're good, etc. After one game, you can't do that. But what I will say is that the Jazz lost this game by 13 points. They shot the three ball exceedingly well. If they wouldn't have shot the three ball exceedingly well, they would have lost by a lot more. And it really comes down to defense and the lack of defense the last couple of years. Our defense is not going to be good because we got young players. Let's face it. They're learning to play defense. They're not playing together well. Although I thought they played pretty cohesive basketball for a preseason game. But defensively, it's matador defense. That has to improve. And every one of your players, you have to make them play hard all the time. And if they don't play hard, you sit them down. And it is really troubling that Houston scored 140 points.
Yeah. Yeah. The Jazz have a number of problems. They're obviously the offense, how the Jazz run their offense, the number of turnovers they commit also makes it very difficult to defend. If you're committing 20 turnovers in a game, as they did tonight, there's a lot of runouts. But the Jazz, let's face it, the Jazz floor balance has been really poor the past 3 years. And so that's nothing new too. And so having better offense leads to being able to balance the floor and have better defense too, especially in transition. The Jazz haven't done that. And I haven't seen anything from Hardy that indicates that he actually even understands that. So again, the Angels need to evaluate the whole thing through this year, all the players and the coaches. And I hope they legitimately do that, and we'll see how that plays out. I'm hoping for better defense, but we'll all see. That's the beauty of this. Through the next few months, we'll see if actually anything has improved.
Yeah, and we can't judge him after one game. Who do you think showed nerves tonight?
Well, obviously, there were two guards that banked in straightaway threes. Listen, a rookie point guard, Walter Clayton. I'm going to give him a pass on that. So he banked in a straightaway three, but Keontae banked in a straight. His shot was so off that it actually went in. Reed Shepard contested and he banked it in. So they both did it, and that's problematic. So, overall, Keontae shot the ball remarkably well, and he made some twos, a few difficult twos that I'm actually surprised that he made. So I'm not going to, and he also had 9 assists and no turnovers. So Keontae actually played better than I anticipated him to play tonight. But certainly Walter Clayton Jr., he was jittery. That's for sure.
Yeah, Walter was a guy I was going to focus on, comment on. But I'll tell you, in the first half, he did this stutter step from.
That was awesome.
Unreal.
It was blow by. It was just it was a hezzy, and he just went right by that. It reminded me of that old Jason Williams, the white chocolate that he did on Gary Payton a long time ago. And there's many highlights of that move, but that's kind of the way it was. And that was truly impressive. Absolutely, it showed his athleticism too, his change of pace. Truly impressive.
It was, you look at, sometimes you see these moves of these players and you say whoa, there's no way I can do that. And that was, he was so good on that. If he's able to play that way in those sort of moves with confidence, unbelievable. Now, he should have done a floater instead of gone all the way to the rim, because Sengun probably did block that shot. Maybe his goaltending, but so he made a mistake there, but blowing past that guy was unreal. The other play I was going to say, so the Keontae situation, assist, great, right? Now, there was a lot of three-pointers made, and he got assists on those, so you have to kind of look at it over games. No turnovers. He didn't look to shoot the ball every time. That was great. I think his shot selection still, he should have missed some of those shots, right? He made some really tough shots, but he's going to usually miss those because every player will usually miss them. So, I'm not sure that part of the game is improved as much as all the commentators talked about. like his hard work over the summer, because there were some really bad twos he took, and he hit them. Give him credit for him, but I don't think he can hit them every game, because I don't think anyone can hit them every game.
Yeah. I mean, he made some very difficult shots tonight, and like I said, that one banked three. I mean, obviously it was so far off that it went in, but if he doesn't make that shot, he goes 6 for 11 and 1 for 5 from three. So again, one of the keys with Keontae is making a 3-point shot at a much higher efficiency, and tonight wasn't an indication that has improved, even though the Jazz as a team shot really well from three. So one other thing I think let's hit on tonight. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors about Lowry and the trade and everything, and obviously, again, this is one of those obvious things. Everybody other than maybe Ace Bailey is going to be available for trade for the Utah Jazz. I mean, if you get a good enough offer, you make the trade, and Lowry is in that boat too. Lowry, the thing about Lowry is, okay, he had a taste of winning this summer with the Finnish national team, where he was actually playing for something meaningful. And this is the first time that I can honestly say that since he was a freshman in Tucson playing for the University of Arizona, that he's actually had a meaningful chance at winning something. I mean, he's won some games with the Finnish national team prior to this year, but this is the first time that Finland has really made a significant run in the postseason. Now that he got a taste of that, I mean, Lowry is entering the prime of his basketball life, where, like, if you intersect athleticism and skill and experience, that typically happens at 28 years old. So for the next 4 years, Lauri Markkanen is under contract with the Utah Jazz. And I know personally, he loves living in Utah. I think that I would say almost positively for sure that Lauri Markkanen, from a culture standpoint, from like the geography, the things he enjoys doing, his family, all of that, I think Salt Lake is probably the number one place that he could live in all the NBA markets. But on the other hand, from a professional standpoint, these next 4 years aren't going to be particularly good with the Utah Jazz. So he's kind of squandering the best years of his life professionally to stay in Salt Lake. And so I'm not sure where he is, if he's willing to do that, if his family is so happy in Salt Lake that he's willing to squander those best years, but I'm assuming that he's actually not. And so I think that it's beneficial to both parties to still be open to trades. And I think the Jazz certainly, if they get a good enough offer, they're going to move him. And I think really highly of Lowry, and I think he's great, but I just don't think that the timeline really meshes with this current Jazz franchise. So that's where I stand on it. I think that he will be moved. I don't know if he's going to be moved during this season prior to the deadline, or on the off season, whatever. But I fully believe that he's not going to play out this contract with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be moved. And the one thing Lowry showed over the summer is that he now has the ability to create his own shot with somebody in his face. And it's slower than I think you and I would have liked. His shot is still slower when he makes these moves, but he's so big that he can get it over other players. I think that's going to increase his market value significantly if that carries over the NBA, which I think it will. And so he's going to be highly desired. And if I'm him, even if I like, living in Utah, if I can go to a contender and be the piece that puts him in the championship or competing, why wouldn't you do that? He's never made the playoffs. So he's going to be valuable for the Jazz to trade. And I think for his career and his professional success, why wouldn't he want that? I also think, and you're not going to like this, and look, it's a guess. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I think Walker will be traded too. And why I think that is that from his contract, there's a divergence between what he wants to be paid and I think what the Jazz want to pay him. And so even though he's become a restricted free agent, my guess is they're going to trade Walker. And I think that's probably a mistake, but who knows? It depends on what you get back as a package for Walker. But my guess is he'll be traded as well. Some of the other guys, I don't know. Like Ace, you're right. I don't. I think it'd take a massive offer to get Ace. But some of the like Kyle, I think there's enough intrigue there with Kyle too. I'd be surprised if they moved off Kyle right now.
Yeah, well, I think everybody but Ace is on the market. Like I said, I think everybody but Ace should be on the market, considering where the Jazz are and how many more years they have in front of them to improve the squad. So, I think that if the right offer comes along, you move on. You take it and you move forward. I think that's what you have to do. As a competent GM, that's what you do. Like you can't, in a situation like the NBA, you can't grow so attached to these guys that you hold on to them, and never improve. And on the other hand, you can't go back to the Donald Sterling Los Angeles Clippers days where you just move off of everybody and never actually keep anyone and never get better. And you can be in that situation too. But if the right offer comes along, a good enough offer, you got to move on from the guys. And Ace is probably the only one on the roster, like I said, that is not in that category at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting too with now the new salary cap, the way it works, where no one has any cash, right, to sign anybody. That if we clear a cap space, we can go sign somebody, right? I mean, like a Walker equivalent coming off another contract. We can go get somebody like that. I shouldn't use Walker because I think there is really no one else except Wemby like Walker in the NBA, like his defensive skill set. But you can go and get a player that's very good, not a superstar, but very good because you're one of the few teams with cap space. And so it does mean that you can go out there and get guys along with your draft picks, which is highly valuable. So if you get a good enough offer where you get multiple draft picks, young players, et cetera, you have to consider it because it just accelerates your timeline to go up. And talking about the Ace, like Ace led the team in scoring tonight. He looked really good, but I'll tell you, there was a fourth quarter where he got the rebound, didn't even bring the ball down and like put it back up from like 10 feet. I mean, just unreal. Like just, wow. That guy's, hit 3-pointers, played defense. He looks really good, really good and confident in his first game, confident too.
Yeah, I still don't expect his percentages to be particularly great this year. I mean, I think he's going to go through some struggles, and he needs to learn what he can and can't do. He had one move tonight where where he tried to do like some step back fade on Jabari Smith, and Jabari Smith was way too long to do that and get it, and he easily contested it, and that shot wasn't even close. So, but again, these are growing pains that you have to go through and learn what you can and can't do against certain players. And so, his shot selection over time is going to improve, but this first year, he's going to go through some struggles. Everybody does, but yeah, he has all the talent in the world. That's clear as plain as day. His shot mechanics look really good. I mean, he seems like he's an unselfish kid for the most part. So the sky's the limit for him, and so I hope the Jazz develop him correctly and emphasize the defensive end and all those things so that he develops on both sides of the ball. And if that's the case, then the Jazz have one of the cornerstone pieces of a title contending team for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Jabari Smith looks a lot better this year. It is third year, right, or is it fourth year now? Third year.
No, I think he's entering his fourth year because I think he came out the same. He was a teammate with Walker, and I think they came out in the same draft.
Okay. So starting his fourth year, he looks a lot more confident than he did, but it took him a couple of years. And Ace looks, it's one game again. You can't overreact to one game, but in one game he looked highly confident. Right, he looked like he belonged, and not only belonged, but he was one of the better players on the court. And yeah, you're right. His percentage is going to be probably 40%, this year because every rookie is. It's a really tough league. These are all great basketball players, but he's got a real skill set. And even though, I was hard on all Walter Clayton, looked very uncomfortable. Walter Clayton, I think too, just he has some crazy skills. I know was a 4-year college player, so it's a little unfair to compare him to some of the other college players coming out, but he's got some real skills. Not only that incredibly quick shot that's smooth, that he just needs to figure out when to shoot it in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like that, that hesitation move, like we talked about. Plus, he can pass the ball. That I'm very bullish on him too. I really want to see what he's going to do this year.
Yeah, me too. So it'll be interesting how the lineups shake out and stuff. So, I mean, obviously Keontae got the start at point guard tonight, and I don't foresee that throughout this season. I think there's going to be a lot of different lineups. I think Will Hardy's going to experiment. I mean, he should. I don't think that he should have a set lineup every game. I mean, yeah, if Lowry plays, he starts. If Walker plays, he starts. But all these other guys, I think that he needs to go through the rotations and try and figure out what works and what not, and which guys have actually earned the ability to start and earn their minutes. And he needs to, if he wants to improve defense, that's what he has to do. And I think that he got really frustrated with Keontae. And I think it was the beginning of the second half where Keontae played like 2 minutes and he got yanked for Walt. And I think he was frustrated with his effort on defense. And so that's what he should do. I don't care what player it is. If he wants to improve on defense, that's what he has to do.
Well, good luck with that. I just don't believe it's going to happen, because the thing we've seen with Hardy is, the play hard and pass, and then, you earn your minutes. That just hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
Throughout the history, that hasn't been the case. He's never rewarded people for playing hard and passing or passing. And so I don't think it's going to change, but I agree with you. That does need to change to set the example. And then some of the guys, like a lot was said about the Keontae this summer about building camaraderie and bringing the players to Dallas and all of that. And all of that is like a real positive for Keontae. Staying in the gym, staying in Salt Lake, all of that is really positive. What in my mind is most important for Keontae is being tough, and playing hard on defense. That is more important to me, is don't back down from Bones Highland again, right? Like, stand up and set an example that way. Don't set an example being not a friend. And that we still need to see. And honestly, we didn't see it tonight.
Yeah, we need to see a lot more on the defensive end from the entire roster. I mean, they have to get handsy. They got to get physical. They got to get aggressive. I mean, all of that. It's imperative. If the Jazz want to contend for a title anytime in the future, you can't allow all these guys to get bad habits. They got to develop with the right habits from the get-go. We can't have another Keontae George situation on our hands with multiple other players. So that's how I feel on that. And that's how I felt on that for the last 3 years watching this, this group of players for the most part.
Yeah. Well, it's one preseason game. We can't read too much into it. Let's hope that the coaching staff sees that and more. But it's going to be an exciting, I was so excited for this game tonight. Yeah. I was not disappointed other than defensively. It was great to see the guys playing again. It was great to see the development. And I am so looking forward to this year.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, I think we will call it quits for this version of Jazz Smack, and we will be back again in a day or two, and we will hopefully the next preseason games is just as exciting as this one, and we will talk to everybody later.